Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. In this video today, we're talking about moving to Lewiston, New York. And I think the first question we're going to ask is, where the heck is Lewiston, New York? So let's go to the map and we'll take a look at Lewiston. Things circled here. Let me start by explaining how you get in and out of Lewiston, New York. If you look at the blue markers here, this is the international or the New York State I-90. It runs east and west. If you go this way, it goes to Rochester, Syracuse, and all the way to New York City. Come this way, you can continue on the 90 and go west or southwest, and it takes you down towards Erie, Pennsylvania, all along Lake Erie. This is Lake Erie here. This is Lake Ontario up here. Everything on this side here of that green line, which is the international border, that's actually the Niagara River. The divider between the United States and Canada actually runs down the middle of the Niagara River. So Lewiston itself, which is here, actually sits right on the international border. It sits right on the edge of the Niagara River, actually. And if you go farther south, heading towards Buffalo this way, the next city is Niagara Falls. And if you continue down south, the next city you're going to run into is Buffalo. These are the three big cities on the west end, or what they consider to be Western New York. So if you were driving in, you would take the 90 or the 190 heading towards Lewiston or Niagara Falls. And if you look at the 190, it runs all the way up to the border and dead ends right there at the Lewiston Queenston Bridge going into Canada. So this is where the Queenston Bridge actually crosses. And you'll see Lewiston is just north of that. There's another international bridge down here. I've got circled in the blue circle there. That's actually the Peace Bridge in Buffalo. And then there's a third bridge right here. And this is the Whirlpool Bridge. This bridge, the Whirlpool Bridge, is actually a Nexus-only bridge. So in order to cross that bridge, you have to have a Nexus pass. But if you are going to live in this area, I would highly recommend applying for the Nexus. It might take you a month or two to get the pass, but if you're planning on going back and forth into Canada, the wait on the other two bridges can be pretty long at times, depending on how busy and what time of the season it is. So if you have the Nexus pass, there's no waiting, really. I mean, you can get right across that bridge. There are two airports in the area. I've got them circled in red here. This is the Niagara Falls International Airport. And for you pilots, that's a Class D airspace. It is a towered airfield or airport. It's actually shared with the United States government. On the north side of the airfield is the military base. And then on the south side of the airport is actually the civilian airspace or airport. And down here we have the Buffalo International Airport, which is really the main airport for the area. It's the biggest airport. And there's international flights out of Buffalo all the time. That's really where you're probably going to fly out of Buffalo if you're going to leave the Buffalo area. One of the other things as well is there's a nice opportunity to get great flights out of Toronto, which is not far. Let me just show you on the map where Toronto. So if you cross the Queenston Bridge and you just took this route right here all the way up the waterfront and you continue up this way, that takes you to Toronto. And Toronto's another big international airport, and oftentimes we can get better flights out of Toronto. It's only about an hour's drive to get to the Toronto airport. So those are the major routes in and out. So if you're looking to come to the area, if you drive in, you're going to be on the 90, the interstate, on the 190 coming in. If you fly in, you're probably going to fly into the Buffalo International Airport. I talked about the four bridges. There's actually four bridges to the Canadian side: the Lewiston Queenston, the Whirlpool Bridge, the Rainbow Bridge. I didn't mention the Rainbow Bridge. The Rainbow Bridge is actually in Niagara Falls right here. So let's zoom in real quick. So here's the falls right here. This is actually Niagara Falls. That's a view looking from the Canadian side, looking at the American Falls. These are the Horseshoe Falls over here. So here's actually a shot of the Horseshoe Falls. This down here being the American Falls, and that small falls next to that's called the Bridal Veil Falls. And this area here is the Goat Island State Park. You can actually walk right out here and stand right at the edge of the falls and watch the water go over the falls. The water goes over the falls here. It actually heads down the Niagara River towards Lewiston. It actually passes Lewiston and heads out to Lake Ontario. So when you're standing at the Lewiston dock, the water that's passing by, and the current's about 3 miles an hour, the water that you're seeing actually went over Niagara Falls about 15 minutes before. So it's pretty interesting. The other thing is that there's a current in there. There's a section of that river where the water actually flows downhill fast, and those are the Niagara River Rapids. And the water down there runs anywhere from 30 to 35 miles an hour. They're impressive. They're Class 6 rapids. There's a way to get down there and see that. We'll do that in one of our other videos where we'll show you how to get down to the gorge, down to the waterfront via the Devil's Hole State Park or Whirlpool State Park. There's actually steps and a lower trail. There's a lot to see there. So let's go back to our map. So this is the village of Lewiston. This is our topic. So Lewiston has one main street, which is actually called Center Street. It's Ridge Road. You're coming in from outside the village, and you come onto Center Street, and Center Street runs all the way down to the river. And this is the waterfront right here. This is where the sand docks are, the silo restaurant, which we'll show you in another video. Um, and it's divided into both the north section, which is north of Center, and the south section, which is South Center. So the streets are named South 9th Street, North 9th Street, so you get the idea. There's about 2,700 people who live in the village, and in the Lewiston proper, there's about 15,000 homes. I'm going to show you some of the subdivisions in the area. So we have a couple of different subdivisions. There's a subdivision right here with some newer homes in it. So this is a subdivision over here. This is called Oak Road Estates. This one over here is called Lewistown Park. And then there's two other subdivisions. There's one out here on Ridge Road, out this way. That is called Big Vista. And then there's another one in Lewiston called Gardens and Oxbow, which is in this area over here. Right over here is Gardens and Oxbow. So we'll take a drive at some point. We'll take you through there. We'll let you see the different subdivisions and the different types of homes that are in those subdivisions. So that wraps up our map of Lewiston, New York. I hope you have a better idea of where Lewiston actually is now and how close it is to Niagara Falls and Buffalo. If this is your first time to my channel, feel free to reach out anytime to contact me using that information down below. Don't forget to subscribe and tap that bell for instant notification of any changes in the real estate market here in Lewiston, New York.